Clint Eastwood's final years, love, regret, and the untold story behind Hollywood's toughest man. Clint Eastwood. For over 70 years, he has been Hollywood's unshakable force, the man whose glare could silence a room, whose presence could define an entire genre. From The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly to Gran Torino, he didn't just act. He rewrote what it meant to be a legend. But now, at 95, the toughest cowboy on screen faces a battle no script could prepare him for. A battle fought not with bullets or bravado, but with silence, loss, and the quiet weight of a lifetime's regrets. Some of these stories, even Hollywood never dared to tell. Before we begin, hit that like button if Clint Eastwood has ever inspired you. It's more than support. It's a tribute to one of cinema's most enduring figures. Number 1. The forgotten child of the Great Depression. Before Clint Eastwood became the man who could command the screen with a single glance, he was a boy adrift in a world that rarely stood still. Born in San Francisco in 1930, in the crushing grip of the Great Depression, he entered life already facing the weight of survival. At birth, he was so large, 11 pounds, that the nurses nicknamed him Samson. But the reality was far from heroic. His father's work in steel was inconsistent, forcing the family to move again and again. By the time Clint was 10, they had called more than a dozen towns home. This wasn't just moving, it was displacement. Every new place meant starting over, learning not to get too attached, because nothing in his life stayed the same. His mother was strict, his father quiet, and Clint quickly learned that relying on himself was the safest choice. School never held his attention. Teachers labeled him a troublemaker. One incident, carving explicit drawings into school property, got him expelled. But while classrooms failed to spark him, music lit a fire. At 12, Clint taught himself piano, spending hours practicing Gershwin until his fingers ached. It wasn't fame he longed for, it was simply the chance to be heard. But life had an even greater test waiting for him, one that would push him to the edge of survival. Number 2. The day Clint Eastwood almost didn't make it home. The year was 1951. Clint was 21, serving as a swimming instructor in the U.S. Army. One weekend, he boarded a military flight to Seattle, a routine trip, until disaster struck. Mid-flight, the plane suffered engine failure and was forced to crash land in the frigid waters off Point Reyes. There were no life jackets, no certainty of rescue, just freezing waves and the dark pull of the Pacific. Clint swam for miles, each stroke a battle against exhaustion and the cold biting deeper into his body. He fought the current, fought the panic, and somehow, against all odds, reached the shore. That night, shivering but alive, he realized just how fragile life could be. From then on, he refused to waste a second. On film sets, his efficiency became legendary. He moved fast, cut out waste, and never let the clock slip away. To audiences, it looked like discipline. In truth, it was survival. That moment in the water never left him, and soon it would carry him into Hollywood, where a different kind of fight awaited. Number 3. Hollywood's reluctant star. The Hollywood Clint Eastwood entered in the 1950s was a ruthless machine. Casting directors took one look at him and called him too stiff or too quiet. For years, he landed only uncredited background parts, barely noticed. His first real break came in 1959 when he was cast as Rowdy Yates in the TV Western Rawhide. The role was intended to be secondary, but his quiet intensity drew audiences in. Then came the call from Italian director Sergio Leone, and with it, the role that would change his life. A fistful of dollars, for a few dollars more, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly transformed him into a global phenomenon. Ironically, Clint almost turned down the part because the script had so little dialogue. But that silence, felt like home, and it became the foundation of his iconic screen presence. Still, fame didn't erase the feeling that he was always on the outside looking in. And when he finally stepped behind the camera, it wasn't ambition that drove him, it was the need for control. Number 4. Behind the camera, the director's truth. By the early 1970s, Clint was tired of letting others shape his image. His directorial debut, Play Misty for Me, 1971, proved he could tell stories his own way. But it was Unforgiven in 1992 that cemented his place as one of cinema's great directors. The film stripped the Western of its glory, leaving only regret, violence, and broken men. It earned him Oscars for Best Director and Best Picture. But the real victory was that it was his voice, unfiltered. Again and again, Clint chose stories about flawed men carrying guilt, walking alone not because they wanted to, but because they had no other choice. These weren't just characters. They were pieces of himself. And while he was crafting cinematic legends, his personal relationships were telling a very different story. Number 5. Love, Loss, and Regret. In 1953, Clint married Maggie Johnson. She believed in him before Hollywood did. They had 2 children together, but as his fame grew, so did the distance. Long shoots, long silences, and affairs that would eventually shatter the marriage. One of his most passionate and destructive relationships was with actress Sandra Locke. For 14 years, they were inseparable, on screen and off. But their romance ended in lawsuits and bitterness. When Sandra died in 2018, Clint made no public statement, yet friends say her loss stayed with him. In his later years, Christina Sandera brought something different: peace. For nearly a decade, she was the calm in his life. Then, in July 2024, she passed away unexpectedly at age 61. At her private service, Clint stood silently at her urn, his hand resting on it longer than anyone else's. Those who saw him that day say it was the quietest they had ever seen him, and when it came to family, Clint's story grew even more complicated. Number 6. The father he was and wasn't. Clint Eastwood is known to have at least 8 children with 6 different women. Some didn't even know he was their father until adulthood. Relationships varied. Some children grew close to him, others kept their distance. To the public, Clint played some of cinema's greatest father figures. But in private, fatherhood didn't come as easily. Birthdays were missed, calls went unanswered, words of affection often stayed unspoken. Now, in his mid-90s, he sometimes appears at family gatherings, polite, even warm, but often just outside the center, as though still trying to bridge years that slipped away. Number 7. The final chapter. Today, Clint lives quietly at his Mission Ranch estate in Carmel-by-the-Sea. His days are measured: walks in the garden, light exercise, the occasional game of golf. He still writes, still considers new film projects, still refuses to fully retire. But the silence in his home is different now. The piano Christina once played is untouched. Her glasses sit on the windowsill. Every corner holds a memory, some cherished, some heavy with regret. He rarely speaks about the past, but those close to him say it's never far away. Clint Eastwood has never claimed perfection. He stumbled, he hurt others, he lost people he couldn't get back. But through it all, he stood tall. His legacy isn't just in the films, it's in the truth he lived. That courage isn't always loud, and strength sometimes means just enduring. If Clint Eastwood's journey has touched you, through a movie, a line, or his quiet defiance against time, share your thoughts in the comments. And subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories. Every subscriber helps keep these legacies alive, because in the end, even legends are human.